Welcome into the 2023 Fantasy Baseball Preview for the Oakland A's. My good friend Dap Scout's favorite team. I don't know why, but he's a weird dude. My name is Dave Eddy. I'm here with my boy Connor Thomure. Connor, before we hop into this exciting news, let's do a little bit of housekeeping first. Let's talk about our fantasy sixpack.net/plans. You can hop on over there, give us a look. Get you, the all access plan, which is going to get you our award winning rankings. We've got draft tools in there. We've got a Discord that I'm kind of proud of. Great opportunity to, interact with guys like myself and Connor. You can interact with all the rest of the Fantasy Six Pack people as well. We cover all the sports in there. We've got the PGA channel, NHL, NBA, obviously tons of football, tons of baseball. You name it, it's all in there. So I think you'd probably be wise to give it a whirl. You'd also be pretty wise to go ahead and drop a like on this video for us if you are an Oakland A's fan, all three of you. And then, you can subscribe to the channel as well and get an alert for all these videos as they're coming out. We're doing one every single day. We started back at the beginning of February, and we're going all the way through until we've covered all the teams. Connor and myself are doing the AL. JP and Jason are doing the NL. So lots for you to check out. Connor, are you ready to do these Oakland A's?
Let's get into it.
All right, buddy. Let's start off here. We're going to do the starting lineup first. Up at the top, we got Tony Kemp, followed by Ramon Laureano, Seth Brown, Jesus Aguilar, Jace Peterson, Shea Langoliers behind the dish, newly acquired J.J. Bleday, Nick Allen, and rounding it out, we got Esteury Ruiz. So, obviously not a ton of big names here like some of these other teams we talk about, but it does not mean that there's not some intrigue and some interest here. And to be honest, for me, when I look at this lineup, a lot of the most interesting part of this is right at the bottom because I feel like you could end up with some decent value. So of the four guys there at the bottom that I talked about, Shea Langoliers, J.J. Bleday, Nick Allen, and Esteury Ruiz, out of those four guys, which one do you think could provide the most fantasy relevance this year?
For me, it's going to be Ruiz as long as he holds down that spot the entire year. He has the stolen base potential to reach 30 stolen bases. And I'll take it as long as the other things he does well enough. I'm not sure if he'll actually be able to get on base enough for that, but we'll see. I think he is the guy at the bottom that I'm looking at.
No, I completely agree. I think that he's the guy who probably ends up being what we like in fantasy, which is a guy who's better in fantasy than in real life. The best case scenario for him is that he finds his way up to the top of the lineup because he's going to, lose in at bat every single game, at the bottom of the order as opposed to the top. And he's a guy who, like you said, he's going to provide value in stolen bases. Now, if he was leading off and let's just say he was getting on base at we'll say a 325 clip, right? I don't think that's asking for a ton. I could see 40 plus stolen bases coming from this guy. I mean, there's no reason for him to get on base and not be given the green light. I mean, this is what he does. And I feel like, they would give him that opportunity. Now, what he's going to get from the 9-hole, I don't know. How long he's going to stay there, I don't know. Will he be up all season? I don't know. But he is definitely a guy that, if you're waiting on stolen bases, I would be very confident to snag him later on in the draft and use him just as a stolen base machine personally. The guy that probably is the most interesting to me just overall, and maybe it's me being biased a little bit, but I really, for, past few years now, been very intrigued by Ramon Laureano. Easy for me to say. He's a guy that, when he was healthy, he had a pretty incredible stretch run where, this guy was putting up like serious all-around numbers, good average, hitting with some power, stealing bags. He was a fantasy just dynamo. And he's just never gotten that back because he's never healthy. Do you think that we can see not just like a return to relevance for Laureano, but a return to you want to roster him and he's a valued commodity?
I think it can happen. It's tough because of the team he's on. If he was on a better team, then he might get more run production out of him. So that kind of holds him down. But if he stays healthy all year, then he definitely will return to fantasy relevance. And I would want to roster him because we've seen what he can do. And I don't think the stolen bases will be there much anymore, but he can hit some homers and he could drive in some runs even on a poor offense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, he's the one guy on this lineup that really could make a major fantasy impact, but we'll just see if he stays healthy, you know. Let's go ahead and move on over to that starting rotation. It's an interesting one. There's actually some names in here that I don't mind, but I guess we'll get to that. Let off here at the top with Paul Blackburn, followed by James Caprillion, Drew Wazinski, Shintaro Fujinami, and Ken Waldichuk. I don't know that any of these names really inspire great confidence in any fantasy manager, but if you had to draft one of these guys at ADP, who is it that kind of garners the most interest for you?
Yeah, I think it might be Waldichuk. He might not currently be as good as Blackburn and Caprilli, and those guys are at the top for a reason, obviously. But I see those guys as more of streamers, where I could see Waldichuk actually having the potential to be a rosterable starter throughout the year. So I think it'll be him if I had to choose anybody.
Yeah, I mean, even though these names all, for lack of a better term, suck, I actually could talk myself into being interested in any one of them, but they're going to be, you know, the bottom of my roster. They're going to be guys that sit on my bench and, you know, maybe, you know, I mean, a stream is probably the best way to put that, you know, but maybe, you know, guys that I'm looking at, do they have 2 starts, you know, are they on a hot streak, you know, that kind of stuff. But I think Waldichuk has the best upside. So for dynasty purposes, that's the guy. As far as just this season in particular, I mean, I guess I would just say Blackburn because we did see a pretty good start to last season, and then he regressed kind of, you know, as you would expect him to do.
That is true. Yeah.
So I mean, so given the option of having to pick one, you know, I think that's where I would go there. But let's go ahead and finish this up here with the bullpen. And, you know, bullpen isn't anything, you know, really worth writing home about, but let's go ahead and go through it and cover it. Again, we're using roster resource here. So this is current projections. We're looking at Trevor May in the closer spot. 7th and 8th inning guys, we got Zach Jackson and Danny Jimenez. And rounding out that bullpen, Domingo Acevedo, Sam Mole, Chad Smith, Kirby Sneed, and Adam Aller. So, again, not anything here to write home about. Probably not any one of these guys are going to be a league winner for you. But same game we've played before when we get to these kind of iffy bullpens. You pick the format, saves, holds, saves and holds, whatever you want to do. You got to pick one of these guys. Who are you going with, Connor?
If it's a saves and holds leagues, I feel pretty good with Trevor May because even if he's not a closer, I think he would still get some hold opportunities. If he's not getting the save opportunities, he'll get the hold opportunities. And I mean, he's the guy they brought in this offseason to, you know, kind of help out the bullpen there. And so I think they're going to be willing to give him innings at a minimum. So I think it'd be Trevor May for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the way to go. You know, I don't know how many opportunities, you know, this bullpen is going to get. So no matter who ends up holding down that job, even if May, you know, has a good season, I can't imagine he's going to get a ton of saves. His ratios probably aren't going to be, you know, all that great. But, you know, I think if anything, maybe, you know, to go a little bit more off script, maybe I think Zach Jackson might have a higher upside. You know, he's got better strikeout numbers than Trevor May does. You know, I don't think he's going to get the same opportunities, but if May struggles, which is entirely possible, I would expect that, you know, Jackson is the guy who comes in. So, you know, he may be a guy that you just kind of want to, you know, put one of those flags on, put on the watch list on Fantrax and just say, hey, let's just keep an eye on this guy and let's see what happens with Trevor May, because maybe I can pick up, Zach Jackson in a league for a couple of bucks if May is struggling and, kind of try to get ahead of the curve. Again, I'm not necessarily saying that that's what I will do, but I do think that it is an option. And I don't think you've got a ton of options when you're talking about this bullpen, but
no,
that's kind of, I think, where I would sit on that. But
nice.
Let's go ahead. Let's round this out again. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead, throw a like on this video for us. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. Turn on those notifications so you get an alert every time one of these videos come out. And then feel free to stop over to fantasy6pack.net/plans. Give that a look. We'd love to see you in the Discord. We'd love to chat with you about this Oakland A's bullpen. If that's something that, you're degenerate enough to care about, then we'd love to have you. But appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you for the next one.